that Mitt Romney will be voting to confirm, or at least he is in support of the process to confirm a Supreme Court judge before the election. So Mitt Romney, along with Cory Gardner, means that there will not be enough Republican crossover in order for Democrats to stop this by normal means. There's going to have to be some kind of nuclear level effort in order to stop it. How you guys feeling?
Yeah, I guess it's not too surprising. I mean, when was the last time we saw a real Republican dissent that was meaningful? McCain, maybe, back in the day. But since then, we hear Collins talk, always kind of wavering. And then if they need the votes, she ends up, going with the Republicans. Sometimes Mitch McConnell gives her, okay, we don't really need your vote. You can back out of this. But, it's a coordinated effort. And I think there's incentives on that side to play ball. And so it's not super surprising that Romney did this.
Yeah, I mean, this is I mean, the thing about it is, like, there was reason to think at the get-go. I had seen early reports suggesting that Mitt Romney was basically saying, no, I'm not going to be voting for this. But at the same time, it doesn't seem too surprising considering Mitt Romney's background. He is more of that traditional conservatives, and where Donald Trump has been strong specifically has been in the areas where traditional conservative values or traditional Republican values allow him to be strong. In many respects, Donald Trump's story actually has been that of a weak president, right? The only things he's been able to do are the things that typical Republicans are able to do, or things which advantage them, whether it's packing the courts or the tax cuts, or things in which Donald Trump has unilateral power, which is, sort of areas of foreign affairs, right? And so for Donald Trump now to, be able to get someone like Mitt Romney on board with the Supreme Court, maybe it's not all that surprising. I think that a lot of resistance libs were maybe surprised or shocked, thinking that Mitt Romney was on their side now. But I think that was obviously just sort of a gross miscalculation.
Yeah, 100%. And when you talk about Romney and the vote he made before against Trump with the impeachment, I mean, there's no way he makes that vote if it actually matters.
Right.
Just like Susan Collins right now. The only reason she said that she would not appoint a justice or confirm a justice before the election is because it doesn't matter. It wouldn't have affected anything. Not only was she pressured by by the moderate Democrats in her home state with her upcoming election, in which, by the way, she is doing terribly in. I think the latest polls had her down by like what, 5, 6, 7 points. But I think people need to understand that when a politician does something all the time, it's to further their political interests. Just because Mitt Romney decides to do one thing, like say Black Lives Matter. Remember back in the day, a couple months ago, he said
Right.
Black Lives Matter at a protest. Just because he makes one symbolic vote in the impeachment doesn't mean he's on your side. I mean, we should know who he is at this point. And if you fell for it, then that's on you.
Yeah, and I don't know if you guys saw Romney being interviewed when he was talking about this. It came off as super disingenuous.
About Merrick Garland?
I wasn't there. I think there's some perception on the part of some writers and others that, gee, what happened with Merrick Garland was unfair. The idea that the Merrick Garland decision was unfair and therefore it has to be made up by doing something which also wouldn't make a lot of sense, which is saying to President Trump, you can't get your nominee either. That just doesn't follow for me.
And it just looked like your typical Republican stuff that we're seeing all weekend of, I'm just going to say what I want to say because it suits my purposes right now, and I don't really care if it meets with what I've said in the past.
Yeah, we've definitely seen all kinds of crazy contradictions coming from basically everyone, from all the Republican sides. I mean, especially Lindsey Graham's. I imagine all of us have at this point seen Lindsey Graham's long-running, all the clips that are playing right now, and now Jamie Harrison is now blasting along on the TV airwaves with his massive fundraising haul, the clips of Lindsey Graham saying, use these words against me, use my words against me. I will say Lindsey Graham's seat is probably vulnerable in a way that it wasn't previously. I mean, we saw polls coming in suggesting that it was 50-50 or that it was really, really close, but the 50-50 poll, guys, was kind of an outlier. It was probably maybe Lindsey Graham was 3 or 4 points ahead. It was definitely a tighter race than we might have typically expected in a state like South Carolina. But something like this, I do think, is going to be politically damaging to Lindsey Graham. There are moderate voters. I mean, I will say, so the swing voters who Joe Biden have been targeting, the high information moderates, are generally of two stripes. There's the evangelical stripe of high information moderate voters, and then there's the more traditional conservatives who are also sort of traditional conservative moderates who are not necessarily in the evangelical stripe. I do think that the evangelical stripe of the vote will probably be motivated because of this. Because of the Supreme Court issue and concerns over abortion, but then also the high information moderates who are more concerned with process over the concerns over abortion, those are going to be the voters who probably break away and are going to be able to, are going to more so be going over to Joe Biden on the basis of this. I mean, I don't know if you guys saw, but there was a poll coming out showing that, confirming the Supreme Court at this point before the election is, I think it was like 62% opposed, and it was only 29 or maybe 30% in favor of. So it was, I mean, massively underwater trying to push through a Supreme Court appointment this close to the election, especially given the hypocrisy that we all remember from the Republicans. So, this is, I think, this is definitely something that's going to really affect things.